And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Top Rope Talk. Jacob couldn't be with us tonight, so we're just tag teaming it tonight. It's myself and the sports agent himself, Sean Russey. Just want to let everybody know that we are live on Sideline Sports and Entertainment Network. Please follow us on all of our great platforms, all of the great platforms, rather. Not necessarily ours, we're just using them. So Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok as well. We have the 2-for-1 special on TikTok. That is run by our guy, Jacob Christner, so please check us out on there. Sideline Sports Network, Sideline Sports Entertainment. You'll find us. Also on YouTube as well. Some of you are viewing us on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for any notifications and updates. But before we get started, Sean, how you doing today?
No, everything's going good, man. Getting ready for this national championship. Should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of you may have seen Raw already because it literally just went off of the air in Dublin, Ireland. But wait, were they in Ireland? No, they were in Belfast. I'm sorry. But anyway, to those of you who haven't, this is going to be the preview. I kind of forgot that they were overseas tonight for some reason. But anyway, here is the preview for tonight's Monday Night Raw. We're going to start off with the women's Intercontinental Championship. So they're rematching for the gold. So will Becky retain against Maxine? And should Maxine lose, should this be it for Maxine for the time being? She should move on to another feud. Maybe open up the door for AJ Lee to chase after the title.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where we're headed. Becky, they're just kind of holding this feud while we stretch. It doesn't seem like we're going to set up AJ Lee versus Becky in 12 days for the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania at this point. I think it's a little too quick to just be like, oh, okay, Maxine loses, and now we're just going to throw AJ Lee into the title match at the Rumble. But I think Becky holds on to it, and then Maxine maybe gets a new feud at the Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Becky retains on this one because at some point you have to start planting the seeds for AJ Lee versus Becky for the title at WrestleMania. I think we'll see another worthy opponent. Dare I say it? Actually, no, she's on SmackDown. That wouldn't count. But we may see Lyra Valkyria back into the title chase, and have Becky retain against her, and then AJ Lee will come along and say, "Hey, that's why trees on fly." Great advice. Okay, and that is the reason why we'll see AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the title. So I've got Becky retaining tonight, and I've got Maxine moving on to another feud. So, World Heavyweight Championship. Finn goes for the gold. Finn Balor goes for the gold in his home country. Does Finn get it done tonight?
No, I think it'll be a good match between the two of them, but I don't think it will. I don't think Finn goes over. 2 title changes in 2 weeks, especially world title changes. I just don't see them shaking up the title picture that much right now.
Yeah. I actually think, this is my opinion, I think the next championship to come to the Judgment Day will be the World Women's Championship. Would not be shocked if early predictions, Raquel Rodriguez is who I got to win the Women's Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, I could see that, and I think, we keep teasing this Judgment Day falling apart, and I think every time they tease it, someone else gets hurt, so it's harder to kind of break them up. Like Dom is out right now, so I think we'll see them extend this out a little bit longer. But Finn failing will definitely play into the storyline once one of them captures the women's title.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, here's another. Because like I said, it's sitting up for AJ Lee. But would not be shocked if we start seeing Liv Morgan go after the Women's Intercontinental Championship, even though she's in the women's tag chase right now, along with Roxanne Perez. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think that's probably where she's going to stick until either she wins the championship or later on this year when she's like, hey, here's this title I've never won, the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Let me go for it and add another mantle to the fireplace, as like they said when John Cena won the Men's Intercontinental title.
No, 100%. Especially if Raquel captures the women's title here in the next couple weeks, then go after the Intercontinental. But I could see if Raquel fails against Stephanie, Liv will make it a point, to go after the women's title, and then if she wins it, make a point to rub it in Raquel's face that she got the job done.
Yeah. Yep. You can see that also. Oh, and also, and I was thinking maybe there might be a bit of a jealousy element brewing because Liv and Roxanne Perez are starting to get close. You know what I mean? Even though it's like, hey, she's a member of the crew and everything like that. But remember, Liv and Raquel, well, they are best friends. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And with this, with Dom and JD out, it's more of a woman's faction right now, and Finn Balor's just kind of still hanging on right now, waiting for everybody to get back to be healthy. But you've got a huge group when they're healthy.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then with but you know what? All would be right in the world if if Liv and Roxanne won the tag titles, if Raquel won the women's world title. Well, now this puts the pressure on Finn Balor to win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, especially with Dom, still holding where he's at, and he's got the AAA title still despite this little injury. So, I mean, I don't think he'll be out long, but he's obviously hurt enough to not be on the show right now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they have yet to strip him of the Intercontinental Championship, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't think these are long-term things. I think maybe after the overseas tour is over, we'll see Dom return. So I think maybe, he misses Rumble because we haven't heard much about an Intercontinental defense at Rumble. I know Triple H just hosted a show where they decided his next challenger, so I'm assuming he's going to be cleared for in-ring action again soon.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And so, well, with that being said, well, it's on to your segment, Sean's Enter the Vault. This is where we take a look back at some memorable moments in pro wrestling history. So we're actually going to start off with the, what was this, the 19th? So, yeah. And on this day, 34 years ago, Ric Flair won the 30-man Royal Rumble match to capture the vacant WWF Championship. He set the Rumble record lasting 59 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, he became the first man to draw between numbers 1 through 5 and win the Rumble.
Yeah, and then at the time, 59 minutes was a record. Right now, Gunther, who we can discuss again more next week, who currently holds the record at 71 minutes. But yeah, it was also the only Rumble where the title was vacant and on the line. Now, the title's been on the line in the Rumble before, but Roman Reigns was actually the champion going into that one, versus this one where the title was vacant. But yeah, this was a big mark for Ric Flair too, as it was one of his early runs in WWF.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, at that same event earlier in the night, Rod Piper won the Intercontinental Championship and then entered into the Royal Rumble match. So he had the opportunity to make history because no one had, other than the Ultimate Warrior, and even then, that was in one match. It was a title versus title match. But no one in history thus far, then or now, has ever, in 2 separate matches, won the IC title and the world title. So he had a chance to make history at that time period.
Yeah. And that was, back then, when you were in a match, it didn't necessarily mean you weren't in the Rumble. Whereas now it's very rare if you have a match on the card that you show up later for the Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then we go on to our next one, and that is, well, exactly 1 year later. 1 year after winning the WWF title at the Royal Rumble, Ric Flair loses the Loser Leave WWF match, and that's to leave WWE. He lost to Mr. Perfect. More on that, Sean?
Yeah, so this was the real thing. The second live Raw ever in MSG. They had just gone live, in that time frame. Flair and Perfect both interfered in a different match, which set up this match, and Perfect challenged him to whoever would lose would leave WWE, and Flair would be the one who lost, and he isn't seen in WWE again until 2001, essentially when WCW closes shop.
Yeah, and he actually appeared in as, I believe, the general manager, and he took part in the first ever WWE draft in 2002. And
he was the big announcement in terms of the GM and the the foil to Vince McMahon back then.
Yeah, pretty. That actually was pretty classy because it was like, okay, we finally got another figurehead to counter Vince McMahon. Now, later on, about a year later, we would see Eric Bischoff, but he was on McMahon's side, and he went against Stephanie McMahon, who was the SmackDown general manager. And then Flair, of course, had moved on to, the kind of planting the seeds for Evolution. Like he was behind Ric Flair, then he was behind Batista, brought them together, and then here came Randy Orton, and they formed one of the greatest factions in Evolution. And last but not least, and I see they're making their picks on ESPN. Desmond and Nick both picked Miami to win this game. Oh, my bad. We have two more. So WCW Sold Out 2000. Now, I'm going to explain what happened on screen, and then, Sean, you explain what happened off screen. On screen, Chris Benoit won the vacant. Hold on a second. That wasn't supposed to be on for more than 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. So, Chris Benoit won the vacant WCW World Championship, defeating Sid Vicious. Arn Anderson was a special guest referee. But a technicality actually reversed Arn Anderson's decision. The title was vacated the next night. Benoit ended up leaving for the World Wrestling Federation. The technicality was that, and this is crazy that they even played it this way, because usually the rules are the referee's decision is final. But what happened was Sid Vicious' foot was underneath the bottom rope when he submitted to the grip across space. In any other scenario, the decision would have stuck, but Arn Anderson saw fit to, hey, I didn't see it, I gotta do the right thing, I gotta vacate the championship. All right, Sean, now if you want to go into what really happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, so, and obviously WCW didn't close up too much longer after this, but they were having discussions with Benoit. Malenko, Saturn, and Guerrero had already, flown the coop at that point. And, they were still having discussions with Benoit that day. And so someone in the back decided, well, this is not going so well. Let's throw the title on him, and maybe that, will help him stay. But at the end, Benoit had already made up his mind that he was going to follow his buddies to WWF, especially with the way WCW was going at the time. And not that they hadn't handled Benoit well, but they hadn't done great with any of those mid-carders in terms of really elevating them to another level until the NWO was well over and done with and dead, and really no one to really truly put these guys over. So Benoit, after the show, essentially handed the title back to Bischoff and flew himself to New York and makes an appearance with the Radicals within a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy part about that is Malenko, I think Malenko decided to go to the World Wrestling Federation just to check the box off, because he retired like a year and a half later.
Yeah, he was pretty aged at that point, and not that he didn't have it left. I think, like you said, there wasn't much left after his WCW run. I mean, he was an every night guy for them. He was really a staple on that show in terms of opening matches and just long opening matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And last but not least, WWE Royal Rumble 2003. Brock Lesnar pulled double duty that night. He defeated the Big Show in the opening match to qualify for the final spot in the Royal Rumble match, and then he later wins the Rumble match, last eliminating Undertaker, with the Undertaker telling him, "Hey, that's twice you got me now. So after you win, I want the first shot." So your thoughts on Lesnar's big night?
No, and and the first pay-per-view, as they had to relabel themselves WWE due to that Wild World lawsuit that they dealt with. Lesnar defeats the Big Show in the opening match to actually earn his spot in the Rumble, and then ends up winning the Rumble, eliminating the Taker. And it's kind of full circle. You can kind of point to 2003 as one of the high points early in their rivalry, and then they completed it here. Just what 10 years, 2013, 2015, somewhere was that SummerSlam match. I mean, so you had a 12-year story really there that started with really that elimination as being the first high point.
Yeah, that one, and the previous year, Lesnar had defeated The Undertaker several times, including in a Hell in a Cell.
No, and it's funny to see how much the badass Undertaker lost versus the dead man Undertaker character, and how more he put guys over during that time period, riding his motorcycle down to the ring.
Yeah. Only 2 wrestlers in history have a winning record against The Undertaker. One is Lesnar, the other is Mick Foley. Mankind, to be exact.
Yeah, no, and those Mankind matches were classics. And again, just Taker being a business guy, understanding if you lose this match to Mankind, it makes Mankind so much larger as a heel, and it doesn't really hurt the Taker character based on how the aura that had already been surrounding him. I believe that rivalry was one of the first where they brought him back from the dead, or maybe the second. But that was the string of really even establishing more of his aura as just this mythical character in the WWE.
Yeah, but there was that mythical character, and then with Mankind, who's kind of Hannibal Lecter with a sock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I really wonder what we would have gotten had Foley not taken so many big bumps. I obviously understand why it was done, but I wonder where Mankind himself as a heel would have gone without all the big bumps, because I think some of the things he dealt with and some of the injuries was part of the reason they eventually turned him to the 3 faces of Foley, and then eventually just into a good guy overall, no matter who he came out as.
Yeah, that's I mean, because after he shed Mankind, Cactus Jack became a face. Dude Love was a face. And then eventually he brought back Mankind, and Mankind was a face. But I mean, he went from being the deranged guy that pulled his own hair to just this funny guy that carried a sock around.
Yeah, no, and even when he took all those chair shots from Triple H as Cactus Jack, he was the face in that match. As Cactus Jack, and Cactus Jack outside of WWE was not a face character. So they really had turned him all the way in terms of, and again, I think it has to do with the bumps, because as a face, while you may take a few or like those chair shots, but I don't think you're climbing to the top of the cage and getting thrown off as a face.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was a face. Excuse me, no. When he got thrown off that cell, he was a heel. But man, just from him taking that match and everything he went through, like it's not saying that he was being disrespected, but the fans, they started to gravitate toward him like after that match, definitely. So it was like, man, you had to turn him face.
Yeah, 100%.
You had to turn him face. Well, it's about time for the national title game. So, I guess you're kind of free to go watch Raw now. But thank you all for tuning in to Top Rope Talk. We will see you all next week. And we're going to have ourselves a Royal Rumble preview. So for the sports agent, I am the Sniper, and we will see you all next week for the Royal Rumble 2026 preview. This is Top Rope Talk.